LeBron James. June 7th, 2011, Game 4 of the Finals. That's the day everything fell apart. Miami had the edge in the series, 2-1, and they had a shot to grab the momentum. But that night turned into one of the strangest, most disappointing moments of LeBron's entire career. He played 46 minutes and somehow only scored 8 points. 8, that's not a typo. He shot 3 for 11, missed all his threes, and went 2 for 4 at the line. The Mavericks locked him down with a combo of Jason Kidd, Jason Terry, and Deshaun Stevenson. He actually went 0 for 6 when guarded by Kidd or Terry. Dallas didn't just win the game 86-83, they also broke Miami's rhythm. LeBron was quiet in the fourth, scoring only 2 points. Meanwhile, D-Wade was carrying the scoring load with over 26 per game. Across the whole series, LeBron averaged just 17.8 with 4 turnovers a night. That's not superstar level. He said himself that he played like trash, and he's not wrong. That performance is still the lowest playoff scoring game of his career. Michael Jordan, his ties back to his father, James Jordan. July 23rd, 1993, just past 2 in the morning. James pulled over near Lumberton, North Carolina, tired after a long drive back from a funeral. He parked his red Lexus, the one with UNC's 0023 on the plate, to rest. That car caught the attention of 2 local 18-year-olds, Daniel Green and Larry Demery. They planned to rob him. What happened next changed everything. According to testimony, James woke up, panicked them, and Green shot him once in the chest. His body was dumped in a swamp about 30 miles away. It was discovered 11 days later, badly decomposed. His car was found abandoned with the window smashed and plate removed. They used his car phone to make 36 calls, which led to their arrests on August 15th. The case blew up when authorities realized he was Michael Jordan's father. Demery took a plea deal, Green went to trial, and got life. Years later, controversy still surrounds it. A judge who sentenced Green now says evidence was withheld. Green's parole was denied again in 2024. The impact on Michael? Devastating. He retired just months later, walking away after 3 straight titles. He moved on to play baseball in honor of his father. Rest in peace. James Jordan, Kevin Durant, June 10, 2019, Game 5 of the Finals. Durant had missed 9 games with a calf strain, but the Warriors needed him. He came out hot, dropping 11 points in just 12 minutes, perfect from 3 and looking sharp. Then, with just under 10 minutes left in the second quarter, everything snapped, literally. As he tried to drive past Serge Ibaka, Durant's Achilles gave out. He hit the floor, grabbed his lower leg, and the arena went silent. Trainers helped him off as teammates stood stunned. He left the building on crutches. The mood completely shifted. After the game, Bob Myers struggled to hold back tears, saying if anyone had to be blamed, it was him. The Warriors won that night, 106-105, but everyone knew the cost. Durant had ruptured his Achilles and would miss the entire next season. He eventually signed with Brooklyn, but didn't return to the court until the 2020 to 2021 season. He later said it took 700 days to feel like himself again. Achilles injuries have ended careers. For Durant, it changed the Warriors dynasty and rewrote his own path. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching. Derrick Rose, February 24th, 2015. The Bulls announced he'd retorn the medial meniscus in his right knee, the same knee he injured in 2013. No big collision, no dramatic fall, just soreness at practice. Then an MRI, then the news. Rose had already been through so much by then. Torn ACL in 2012, meniscus tear the next year. By this point, he'd played only 61 of 246 regular season games since the ACL injury. That's 25%. On February 27th, Rose had another meniscectomy. 4 to 6 weeks, they said. He made it back in April, but it was different. His game had shifted. He wore a brace, drove less, and leaned on mid-range jumpers. Before the injury, he averaged over 25 points in his MVP season. That year, 18 points, under 41% shooting. He missed 20 games, then helped Chicago pass Milwaukee in the playoff. But against Cleveland, his quickness just wasn't there. The spark was fading. Fans were gutted. The hometown hero crushed by his own knees. Rose kept fighting, but that re-tear sealed it. His transformation from MVP to something else entirely. Chris Paul, July 20th, 2021, the heartbreak was undeniable. After 16 seasons, countless playoff exits, and a resume full of close calls, Paul finally made it to the NBA Finals with Phoenix. They jumped out to a 2-0 lead over Milwaukee, and it looked like the storybook ending was coming. Then the Bucks won 4 straight. Paul played well across the series, averaging nearly 22 points and 8 assists on 55% shooting. He even shot over 52% from 3, but mistakes crept in. In Game 4, he turned the ball over 5 times, including one brutal giveaway late in the 4th. Milwaukee capitalized and took the win. Game 5, Devin Booker got stripped, and Giannis threw down a game-sealing alley-oop. In Game 6, Paul tried to rally the Suns with 26 points, but they still lost 105-98. Giannis dropped 50 that night, putting an exclamation point on the Bucks' comeback. For Paul, it was a crushing loss after coming so close. He didn't walk away though. After the game, he said he'd be back, still fighting, still chasing the one thing his career's missing, a ring. Larry Bird. Summer of 1988 was the beginning of the physical unraveling. After nearly a decade of carrying the Celtics, he couldn't even stand without pain. Heel spurs in both feet, stabbing every time he moved. Doctors confirmed the damage and scheduled surgery. In August, Bird had bones shaved off both heels in Boston. Recovery, 3 to 4 months, but the pain stuck around. He tried returning in November, played 6 games, and shut it down. His feet weren't right. And the back, that was starting to go too. Years of wear, and then the gravel shoveling stunt in 1985, it all caught up. The 1987-88 season had already been rough. He averaged nearly 30 points, but limped through the playoffs. After the surgery, he missed 76 games the next year. He never fully recovered. His numbers dipped, minutes fell, the vertical vanished. He was still smart, still skilled, but physically, the decline was obvious. Cortisone, braces, hyperbaric chambers, nothing brought back the old Bird. By 1992, he retired. 3 titles, 3 MVPs. But the last 4 years were a war with his body. And in that war, the summer of '88 fired the first major shot. Isaiah Thomas. May 19th, 2017, the Celtics announced he was done for the playoff. A torn labrum in his right hip ended a postseason that had already become the stuff of legend. Less than 5 weeks earlier, his sister passed in a car crash. He still suited up and dropped 33 against Chicago, then 53 on what would have been her birthday. But by Game 2 of the East Finals, he couldn't go anymore. The injury, ephemeral acetabular impingement with a labral tear, and it wasn't new. He first felt it back in March. Still, he'd carried Boston to the #1 seed, put up nearly 29 points per game, and finished 5th in MVP voting. Then came the trade. On August 22nd, Boston sent him to Cleveland for Kyrie. Once Cleveland saw the hip, concerns exploded. Boston had to toss in a second-round pick just to seal the deal. When Thomas finally debuted in January, he wasn't the same. 14 points a night, under 37% shooting. A month later, he was traded again. From there, he bounced around the league, chasing a chance to prove he wasn't finished. But the hip had already taken that from him. Steph Curry, June 16th, 2016, Game 7 of the Finals. And the collapse was complete. Golden State, fresh off a 73-win season, blew a 3-1 lead to Cleveland. The final blow came at Oracle Arena, in front of a stunned home crowd. Curry, 17 points on 6 for 19 shooting. He missed 10 of his 14 threes. In the fourth quarter, he went 2 for 9, and with under 2 minutes left, trailing by 2, he threw a wild, behind-the-back pass out of bounds. Kyrie hit the game winner right over him seconds later. That turnover? Brutal. The Warriors didn't score again. Curry's MCL sprain from April had lingered, but he refused to use it as an excuse. Still, the explosiveness was gone. His drives dropped, his dunks disappeared, and the MVP, unanimous that year, came up short. LeBron James was everywhere, posting a triple-double and grabbing the Finals MVP. Kyrie dropped 26, including that dagger 3. Curry's performance, especially that Game 7, led to questions about his clutch gene. Fans lit him up online, but the sting didn't end there. The loss triggered the Durant signing, and a very different version of the Warriors was born, Kobe Bryant. April 12th, 2013, his body finally gave out. The Lakers were in a desperate playoff push, and Bryant had been playing nearly 39 minutes a night. At 34 years old, in year 17, he was carrying the team on worn-out legs. That night against Golden State, with just over 3 minutes left, he made a move and suddenly stopped. No contact, just pain. His left Achilles had torn, but instead of collapsing or limping off, he stayed in the game, walked to the line, and calmly sank both free throws to tie it at 109. Then he walked off, unassisted. Surgery came the next day, 6 to 9 months of rehab. He returned in December, but the damage was done. Over the next 3 seasons, he fractured his knee, tore his rotator cuff, and never regained that same form. Before the injury, he was still dominating. That night, he'd already scored 34, but the Achilles tear was the turning point, the start of the final act. His brilliance didn't disappear, but it came in flashes, not runs. That moment, though, those 2 free throws, became the symbol of his legacy. Relentless. Magic Johnson. November 7th, 1991, the sports world stopped. At just 32, Magic held a press conference at the Forum and told the world he had tested positive for HIV. Effective immediately, he was retiring from basketball. The news hit like a thunderclap. 5 titles, 3 MVPs, and he was still at the top. The diagnosis came during a routine insurance physical. Multiple tests confirmed it, and with fears of on-court transmission and no league protocol in place, Magic stepped away. He stood beside his wife Cookie, teammates, and doctors as he made the announcement, saying he'd contracted it through heterosexual contact. His words, "I will have to retire from the Lakers today," echoed across the globe. The reaction was massive. Headlines everywhere. Viewership hit 200 million worldwide. Teammates were stunned. Fans mourned like it was a funeral, but Magic didn't disappear. He played in the All-Star game, won MVP, and later joined the Dream Team in Barcelona. He tried comebacks, but the fear among players lingered. Still, he shifted gears, becoming a billionaire entrepreneur, HIV advocate, and face of hope. That day ended his NBA run, but began something even bigger. James Harden, May 28, 2018, Game 7 against the Warriors, and everything fell apart. The Rockets were up 3-2 in the series, but Chris Paul was out with a hamstring injury. That left Harden to carry it all, and for a while, it looked like he might. He scored 32 points, added 6 boards, 6 assists, and 4 steals. But the real story was the shooting. Harden went 2 for 13 from deep. The Rockets as a team missed 27 straight threes, the worst cold streak in playoff history. They finished 7 for 44 from beyond the arc, just under 16%. That stretch, from the second quarter into the fourth, let the Warriors erase a 15-point lead and flip the game. Golden State won 101-92. Harden had 5 turnovers and a minus 13 plus-minus. Houston had the best regular season record in the league, home court advantage, and a real shot at taking down the champs. Instead, they crumbled. The loss became a permanent stain on Harden's playoff resume. A night where everything was lined up and nothing fell, not even the shots. Kawhi Leonard, May 22nd, 2017, Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, and everything changed. The Spurs were rolling, up 78-55 in the third, and Leonard was torching Golden State. 26 points in just 26 minutes. Then he went up for a shot, came down on Zaza's foot, and his ankle folded. It wasn't new. He'd sprained it earlier that month, but this time, it was bad. He limped off, didn't return, and the Spurs collapsed. The Warriors outscored them 58-33 the rest of the way. Curry and Durant turned it on. The Spurs missed their last 5 shots. Final score, 113-111. Leonard missed the rest of the series. The Spurs never recovered. They got swept, and the series went from competitive to over the second he left. That injury wasn't just a game changer, it fractured Leonard's trust in the team. He got second opinions, clashed with the medical staff, barely played the next season, then asked out. It all started with that one step, one awkward landing, and everything after looked different. Career, franchise, legacy. Damian Lillard, September 27, 2023. Portland finally pulled the trigger. After 11 seasons, 7 All-Star selections, and 0 championship banners, Lillard was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. Not Miami, where he wanted to go, Milwaukee. The deal? A 3-team shuffle. The Bucks got Lillard. The Trailblazers got Drew Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, Kamara, and some draft pick lifelines. Phoenix grabbed Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nasser Little, and Keon Johnson. Lillard had carried Portland for over a decade, becoming their all-time leading scorer, dropping iconic playoff shots, and sticking around through rebuilds, injuries, and chaos. But the loyalty chapter ended. This wasn't mutual, it was business. Portland passed on his Miami wish list and shipped him somewhere colder with a better title shot. On social media, he aimed his words at real fans, not the casuals, and teased that more was coming. For Milwaukee, the pairing of Lillard and Giannis instantly changed the East. For Lillard, it was a new mission, title or bust. Portland, they hit reset. And just like that, the Dame era was over. A quiet superstar, traded loud. A legacy shifted from loyalty to a late career gamble. DeMarcus Cousins, January 26th, 2018. The night his rise crashed in real time. The Pelicans were up 1 with 15 seconds left against Houston, and Cousins, already with a triple-double, chased a rebound after a missed free throw. He lunged, planted, and the left Achilles gave out. Just like that, he collapsed, grabbing the back of his leg, and everyone knew it was the worst-case scenario. A complete rupture, no contact, no foul, just physics. He was 27, averaging 25 points, 13 boards, and 5 assists. A force of nature with size, skill, and vision. This was supposed to be his payday year, set for a max contract in July. Instead, he had surgery, missed the rest of the season, and never got that deal. The Pelicans made the playoffs, even swept Portland. But without Cousins, the ceiling was gone. Cousins had said himself he thought the Pelicans had a real chance to win it all this year with him and Anthony Davis. He came back a year later with the Warriors on a cheap one-year deal. Looked okay, then tore his quad, then his ACL. By 2025, he'd bounced through 6 teams, played overseas, and never sniffed an all-star nod again. That injury stole his prime and shredded his market. A franchise star turned basketball nomad. D. Wade, July 6th, 2016, he said goodbye to Miami after 13 seasons and 3 titles, signing a 2-year, $47 million deal with the Bulls. Not exactly your feel-good homecoming story. This was less about basketball and more about pride. Wade had already taken pay cuts to help Miami chase rings. And now, when it was time for them to return the favor, the Heat started penny pinching. First, they offered $20 million, then $40. Still not enough. Wade watched the team chase Kevin Durant and give Whiteside a fat contract while he waited. That didn't sit right. It was like waiting for your family to pick you up after school and watching them drive right past. Pat Riley, cold-blooded executive extraordinaire, never even called. Just a text that said, "Sad, yes," all caps, and way too many Ds. Wade said he loved Pat, but also admitted, that sucks. And he wasn't wrong. Signing with Chicago wasn't just a business move. It was a dream Wade had since he was a kid in Robbins, watching the Bulls dominate the 90s. But no matter how hometown it looked, everyone knew the truth. Miami let him walk. And that hurt more than anything in the box score. Steve Nash. The night of October 31st, 2012 didn't just bruise Steve Nash's shin. It blew up his entire Lakers chapter. The guy collided with a rookie, took a shot to the leg, and boom, fractured fibula. Everyone thought he'd be out for a week or two. Instead, it spiraled. Doctors found nerve damage, and that triggered more problems than anyone saw coming. Nash developed sciatica, lost calf strength, and limped through 50 games that season. And the stats? Way below his prime. He'd been putting up over 14 points and 8 assists a game for years. After that, not even close. His drives vanished. He turned into a spot-up shooter. Defenders lit him up. Even standing became a chore. The guy needed custom orthotics, nerve therapy, even epidural injections just to stay upright. And don't forget, this was a 2-time MVP, the engine of those Phoenix teams. But with the Lakers, he played just 65 games out of 246. That's 26%. And while the Lakers sunk, he just kept fighting to walk right. By 2015, the pain won. He retired. No ring, no playoff wins. Just chronic pain, broken dreams, and a what if hanging over everything. Chris Bosh, his final game came on February 9th, 2016, with 18 points against San Antonio, but nobody knew that'd be the last time he'd touch the floor in uniform. Not long after, doctors found a blood clot in his calf. The kicker? That wasn't even the first time. The year before, one traveled to his lungs and nearly ended more than just his career. This time, it was caught early, but still dangerous enough to shut him down for the rest of the season. Bosh wanted to play, badly. He kept showing up to practice, cheering during games, pushing for a return. But the Heat weren't budging. They refused to clear him. And by May, both sides dropped a joint statement confirming he'd sit out the playoff. By September, he failed his physical, and Pat Riley basically said it was over. That was it. The guy went from cornerstone to cautionary tale. The league ruled it a career-ending condition in June 2017, and the Heat waived him in July. His retirement came in 2019, and Miami retired his jersey 2 months later. One of the best big men of his era, gone too soon because of something no jumper or workout could fix. Carmelo Anthony. On April 14th, 2017, Phil Jackson basically hit send on the weirdest breakup text in NBA history, except it was a press conference. He said Anthony would be better off somewhere else, tossing gasoline on a fire that had been smoldering for months. That comment wasn't some slip-up. Jackson had been needling him publicly for a while. Back in February, he quoted a Bleacher Report article criticizing Anthony and threw in a leopard joke, implying Carmelo couldn't or wouldn't change. The issue? Anthony had a no-trade clause. He wasn't just walking out the door because Jackson got passive-aggressive, so things got awkward fast. Jackson doubled down in June, saying the team wasn't built for Anthony's success and throwing shade at their title chances. At this point, it was a staring contest, and the only thing more uncomfortable than the press quotes was the Instagram post Anthony fired back. Really? #Stay Melo. Eventually, something had to give. Jackson was out by the end of June, and Anthony was traded to Oklahoma City in September. It was a messy, public saga that showed how fast things fall apart when communication breaks down and the front office forgets how to manage a star. John Wall, on December 27, 2018, he wasn't on the court or in the gym. He was at home recovering from heel surgery when everything collapsed. Literally, a slip turned into a complete Achilles rupture. And just like that, Wall's career trajectory was wrecked. The Wizards didn't even announce it until February. Pain and swelling led to a scan, and the MRI confirmed what nobody wanted to hear. He had just gone under the knife the day before to fix a heel problem. And then this? Unreal. The Achilles snapped, and the recovery was brutal. Infection delayed everything, and rehab became a nightmare. He was supposed to miss weeks, not years. Instead, Wall sat for over 700 days. No games in 2019. None in 2020. When he finally came back in Houston, he still had game. 20 points per night, but the burst was gone. His contract, $170 million with $80 guaranteed. It became dead weight. The Wizards traded him. The Rockets sat him. The Clippers waived him. And the league moved on from 5-time All-Star to unsigned by 25. That injury didn't just end a season, it closed the book on his prime. Dirk Nowitzki, May 3rd, 2007, was supposed to be part of a deep playoff run for Dallas, not a basketball autopsy. The Mavericks had just finished a ridiculous 67-15 regular season and somehow got bounced by the 8th-seeded Warriors in 6 games. It was historic, but for all the wrong reasons. No one seed had ever lost like that in a best-of-7 series. And Dirk, he had one of the worst games of his career when it mattered most. He logged 38 minutes and change, put up 8 points, and bricked 11 of his 13 shots. He missed all 6 of his 3-point tries and didn't hit a single field goal in the second half. Meanwhile, the Warriors lit it up, especially Steven Jackson, who couldn't miss from deep. The final score was 111-86, but the loss felt even heavier. Then came the MVP award. Dirk won it, deservedly too. 24 points a game, elite shooting, led a dominant team. But instead of a big celebration, the ceremony happened in silence at the American Airlines Center almost 2 weeks after the loss. The timing was brutal. That trophy felt like salt on a still open wound. Penny Hardaway, May 12, 1997, he dropped back-to-back 40-point playoff games, trying to drag the Magic past the Heat. He became the first player ever to score 40 or more in 2 straight playoff games, while his team didn't even crack 100. But despite the heroics, they lost the series, and the shadow of Shaq's departure hung over everything. That loss put all the weight on Penny, and the cost of carrying it showed up fast. By November 9th, Penny's left knee was already waving red flags. He played through pain at first, but things got worse quick. By December, he was on the injured list. Doctors found a cartilage tear, and he had surgery on December 10th. It was supposed to be minor, but it triggered years of knee issues. Dr. James Andrews later said the damage was deeper than they thought. Articular cartilage, the kind that doesn't heal well. Penny made the All-Star game that season, but played just 19 games total. The long-term effect? Devastating. Multiple surgeries followed, including a microfracture that he'd later regret. That one killed his explosiveness. From rising star to role player, Penny's arc changed forever. His career kept going, but the magic was gone. Ben Simmons, June 20th, 2021, Game 7 against Atlanta. The Sixers were down by 2 with under 4 minutes left. Simmons got the ball under the basket, a clear dunk, no defenders in sight. And instead of finishing, he passed it off to Thibault, who got fouled and hit one of 2 free throws. That play didn't just cost them momentum, it became the symbol of everything critics were saying about Simmons: passive, hesitant, and scared to shoot when it mattered most. Philly lost that game 103-96. And over the series, Simmons averaged just under 10 points, missed 30 free throws, and basically vanished in fourth quarters. In 5 out of 7 games, he didn't take a single shot during crunch time. Not one. That's your starting point guard. Afterward, Doc Rivers was asked if Simmons could be the guy to lead a championship team. He said he didn't know. Joel Embiid pointed directly at the passed-up dunk. That summer, Simmons wanted out. He skipped training camp, citing mental health struggles, and eventually got traded to Brooklyn. But between injuries and setbacks, he barely played. By 2025, he was waived. One play started it all. DeMar, July 18, 2018. The Raptors hit send on one of the coldest texts in franchise history, except this time, it was a full-blown trade. After 9 seasons, DeMar and a protected first-rounder were shipped to San Antonio for Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green. This wasn't just about names on paper. DeMar was the Raptors' all-time leading scorer, a 4-time All-Star, and the face of the team. What made it sting more? He'd just been told he wasn't getting traded. His response came fast. Be told one thing and the outcome another. Can't trust him. That wasn't just disappointment, that was betrayal. The business side showed up in a suit and kicked loyalty out the back door. Then, the plot twist. Kawhi led the Raptors to a title that same season. Finals MVP, championship parade, legacy secured. Meanwhile, DeMar and the Spurs bowed out in round 1, but DeMar didn't flinch. Later, he said he believed the Raptors would have won it all with him too. Whether you agree or not, the trade changed everything. Toronto got a ring, but lost a cornerstone. DeMar got blindsided and learned the hard way that loyalty doesn't always make the cut in pro basketball. Brandon Roy. December 9th, 2011, he walked away from the NBA at just 27 years old. Not because he wanted to, but because his knees gave him no choice. The guy had no cartilage left, just bone grinding on bone. Every step hurt, every jump was a risk, and it wasn't from lack of effort. He had surgeries, rehab, all of it. But the damage couldn't be undone. The season before, in 2010, he had procedures on both knees. Still, he gave Portland one more flash of brilliance. 18 points in the fourth quarter of a comeback win in the playoffs. It was vintage Roy, but that spark couldn't carry him through the pain. The team used the amnesty clause, wiped his contract off the books, and he still got the $63 million owed to him. Then came the brief comeback. Roy signed with Minnesota in 2012, tried platelet-rich plasma therapy, and gave it a shot. 5 games, one more surgery, and it was over for good. Post-retirement, he pivoted fast, became a high school coach in Seattle. Undefeated season, National Coach of the Year. His playing career ended too soon, but his influence, still going strong. Joel Embiid, May 12th, 2019. The Sixers were seconds away from forcing overtime in Game 7 against Toronto. The score was tied, tension through the roof, and Kawhi Leonard caught the inbound. He dribbled to the corner, launched a fadeaway over Embiid's fully extended arm, and the ball hit the rim. Once, twice, 3 times, then a fourth, and finally, it dropped, 92-90. Just like that, the Sixers were out. It was the first Game 7 buzzer beater in NBA playoff history. Not exactly the side of history you want to be on. Embiid had chased Leonard to the corner, did everything right on the contest, and still watched the ball fall. His reaction said it all. He left the court in tears. Completely gutted, Raptors center Marc Gasol walked over and consoled him as the arena exploded. That shot didn't just end the Sixers season, it carved a permanent place in Embiid's legacy. He'd fought through injury that postseason and gave everything in that series, but the bounce wasn't his. It became a brutal turning point for Philly and a lasting image of Embiid's heartbreak. A superstar watching history happen at his own expense. Ricky Rubio, March 9th, 2012. The Timberwolves were finally turning heads, sitting just above 500, with real playoff hopes for the first time in years. Rubio was electric. 10 points, 8 assists, over 2 steals a game, and everything in Minnesota felt alive again. Then came the Lakers game. Late fourth quarter, Rubio slid to defend Kobe Bryant, planted wrong, and his left knee crumpled. Just like that, it was over. The next day, the MRI confirmed a torn ACL and LCL. Done for the season. Done for the Olympics. The buzz around Minnesota died immediately. The Wolves, 21-20 before the injury, lost 20 of their last 25 games and missed the playoffs. Again, Rubio had brought flair, ball movement, actual excitement. Without him, it unraveled. He had surgery on March 21st, then disappeared into rehab for 9 months. When he returned on December 15th, fans got a glimpse of what they'd missed. 18 minutes, 8 points, 9 assists, 4 boards, 3 steals. He was rusty, but still himself. That injury didn't just knock out a rookie year, it derailed one of the most promising turnarounds the Timberwolves had seen in years. All it took was one bad step. Charles Barkley, June 20th, 1993. He was at the peak of his powers, MVP trophy in hand, leading a 62-win Phoenix team into a heavyweight final showdown with Michael Jordan and the Bulls. Barkley didn't just show up, he went off. 27 points, 13 rebounds, over 5 assists a game across 6 brutal matchups. But it still wasn't enough. Game 6 in Phoenix, the Suns had clawed out a late 4-point lead. Everything was lining up. Then John Paxson buried a wide-open 3 with under 4 seconds left to flip the score. On the Suns' last chance, Horace Grant blocked Kevin Johnson. That was it. 99-98. Chicago's third title. Barkley's best shot gone. He'd carried that team, fought through Jordan's relentless onslaught, and nearly pulled off a miracle. Jordan averaged 41 a game, still the highest in finals history. Barkley did everything right, and it still slipped away. Years later, Barkley admitted the pain never left. He said he couldn't sleep, couldn't shake it. That moment didn't just end the series, it burned itself into his legacy. The MVP without a ring, a titan standing inches from glory, watching it fall apart in front of a home crowd. Rudy Gobert. March 9th, 2020. He thought he was being funny. At a media session, he leaned over and tapped every microphone and recorder on the table, joking about the league's new COVID restrictions. Just a little mockery of the locker room protocols, right? 2 days later, he tested positive for the virus. The NBA shut down that night. It was chaos. The Jazz were seconds from tip-off in Oklahoma City when word came through. Game canceled. Fans sent home. Then the league suspended the season indefinitely. And that mic stunt, it exploded online. What was supposed to be a joke turned into the face of a pandemic shutdown. Teammates weren't thrilled, especially Donovan Mitchell, who also tested positive. Reports came out about tension in the locker room. Trust got tested. Gobert apologized quickly, called his actions thoughtless, and admitted he put people at risk. The league used his diagnosis as a wake-up call, and everything changed from that moment on. That clip of him touching the mics wasn't just awkward, it became a symbol. One gesture, one virus, one massive pause. Gobert didn't just stop a game, he stopped the entire league with one of the worst timed jokes in sports history. Jason Tatum, May 12, 2025. Madison Square Garden was packed, and Tatum was cooking. 42 points, 8 boards, 4 assists, 4 steals, 2 blocks. He was dragging the Celtics through Game 4 like a man possessed. Then, it happened. Late in the fourth, chasing down a loose ball, he planted his right foot and crumbled to the floor. No contact, just pain. He clutched his leg, couldn't stand, and was taken off in a wheelchair. The energy drained from the court. The next day, the MRI confirmed the worst. Ruptured right Achilles. Surgery followed immediately. Recovery, 9 to 12 months minimum. Just like that, Boston's playoff run cracked, and their franchise player was gone for the entire next season. The Celtics managed to bounce back in Game 5 with a blowout win, but it didn't last. They were crushed in Game 6, ending their postseason and throwing their future into question. Tatum had tied Larry Bird and John Havlicek with his 5th 40-point playoff game. But that stat felt irrelevant next to the rehab timeline. It wasn't just a bad night, it was a franchise-altering moment. One wrong step changed everything for Boston's leader, Julius Randle. January 27, 2024. The Knicks were locked in a battle with Miami when everything went sideways. In the fourth quarter, Randle drove to the basket, absorbed contact, and hit the floor hard, right shoulder first. He got up holding it, but it was clear something was wrong. The diagnosis? Dislocated shoulder. He was done for the night, and as it turned out, for the season. At the time, he was putting up 24 points, over 9 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. The Knicks were rolling, especially with OG in the mix. When those two played together, the Knicks were 12-2 with the best defense in the league. The plan was rehab, avoid surgery, and get him back before the playoffs. That plan didn't last. On April 4th, the Knicks announced he'd need season-ending surgery. The shoulder wasn't stable enough. No more comeback. He watched from the sidelines as the team pushed through Philly, but got bounced by Indiana in 7. Then came the final twist. Randle got traded to the Timberwolves in the offseason. That shoulder injury, it ended his season, his playoff hopes, and his time in New York, all in one blow. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks.